What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Hard Knocks episode recap, episode 2 this time. Hope you guys are well. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Share out, do all the good stuff. We're trying to get to 2,100 as fast as possible, so please help us out a little bit. This is my last video, if you will, overseas, and I'll be back in America very much soon. But we are here to talk about the second episode of Hard Knocks on HBO, talking about the Giants offseason, detailing some of the stuff that happened and whatnot. So, there are two main topics that really are put into this episode. There is the cap increase and a little bit of free agent talk. There is also the scouting combine, which really takes more of the time, and some jokes and stuff like that, you know, with Brian Dable running the 40 and stuff. So, we'll get into the cap increase first. So, they started off the episode with a huge PDF file in Joe Shane's inbox, and it detailed the cap increase to like 255 mil or something like that. And with that, the New York Giants had, I think, between $36 million to spend at least. And, you know, obviously without that, they would not have gotten Jermaine Lenore, John Runyon, signed Brian Burns. A lot of flexibility happened with that move by the NFL. And again, the Giants were able to make some moves that maybe weren't thought possible with the, I think it was like 244, 234 cap. But nonetheless, he was on the phone with, I believe it was Chris Rossetti, and he said, you know, maybe we should do something with Xavier McKinney, and Saquon may look to get Jonathan Taylor-esque contract numbers. So that was obviously very interesting. We know how things played out, but knowing stuff behind the scenes definitely makes it a lot more interesting to see how things come about. Nonetheless, they had no talks, meaning McKinney's crew and Joe Shane. They didn't have talks leading up till the combine, and obviously we saw the way that ended. They really didn't detail much of the McKinney stuff. It was more on Barkley. So there was multitude of things in the episode detailing Saquon. Now, it's going to look as if we're going to see a lot of stuff about free agency in the third episode. Then again, I haven't seen third episode, so we've only seen teasers and commercials and stuff like that. But Joe Shane was trying to sell Saquon Barkley on not just telling Saquon, he probably told him before the episode or off screen, but he was telling Ed Berry, his agent, as well as the other scouts and front office executives, look, he could either go $1 million more than we're going to offer him somewhere else, or he could stay here for what we give him, Ring of Honor, this, that, and the third, because, you know, he's still a good player at his age and stuff like that. And what they were going to do and what they ended up doing is Joe Shane, he was going to say, well, he did say, I should say, he said to Saquon, he said to Ed Berry, look, we're going to let you test the market, and we'll see if we can match what the offer is, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to lie to you, Saquon didn't really sound enthusiastic. He didn't say, okay, you know, this, that, and the third. It was very monotone, very low volume voice. Like, he kind of knew it was already the end, and, you know, there wasn't much from the Giants side to go over what their expected number was to meet in the middle. And obviously, he is now a Philadelphia Eagle. And of course, it was also very interesting, you know, maybe for a fan perspective or for someone who's in the broadcast slash, you know, communications field to see what they do behind the scenes with PR. Dion Dargan was with Joe Shane, as well as Matty Harris, who I've worked with at the Combine, and they were prepping him for what to say in terms of what's going to happen here, when they ask you that. The Saquon thing, he was basically talking about, you know, we'll see what happens there. He wants to be a Giant for life. And they also talked about the quarterback stuff, which we'll get into with the scouting combine. He said, we're going to take the best player available. It's a very solid draft. And that's pretty much what happened there. Outside of Saquon, there's only two things that are really, I would say, recapable, for lack of a better word, in terms of the cap increase before we get to the scouting combine. Christian Wilkins was an option more than I would expect for the New York Football Giants. And it's interesting because they got rid of Leonard Williams, and Wilkins, who has similar production to say, now they're two different types of players, he would be slotted in next to Dex. They considered him as a very high option on their list of game changers, whatever you want to call it, defensive linemen per se. And then they mentioned Brian Burns, and Joe Shane's like, well, he wants 2 ones for him, which, obviously got simmered down and slimmed to a couple of second-round picks. And Shane Bowen didn't say a lot, but he was pretty okay with Brian Burns. So nonetheless, we go to the scouting combine, which was the main focus of the episode. And obviously one of the topics that a lot of Giant fans were looking at, how much were they looking at quarterbacks, this, that, and the third. They were looking at quarterbacks, and Joe Shane, Brian Dable were relying on their scouts to say, okay, what does this guy bring to the table, this, that, and the third. And they were doing the same thing with wide receivers, which were, I guess, the most notable at 6th overall, or basically where the Giants were in that position. Jaden Daniels, they liked his stuff. That was the first quarterback they went over, but they didn't say that he was a vocal leader. They said he wasn't much of a vocal leader, but he got more of that fine-tuned with LSU in 23. Drake May, some similar character stuff to Daniel Jones. Pretty interesting. J.J. McCarthy, his NFL adjustment, it's going to be very interesting, but he was able to adjust the protections at the line of scrimmage that the offensive line originally set. So they're not as dependent on the narrative that, he was carried at Michigan. But you could see, there are some principles that they would agree with. As far as Caleb Williams, they did actually remark on the fact that, hey, he did this in 2022. In 2023, when they started losing games, he did not speak to the media, which is a no-no in New York, because they would crush him instantly. So everything else checked in terms of him. Now, I didn't get to where they interviewed the prospects yet, but if they were looking at wide receivers, similar way they were looking at quarterbacks. Marvin Harrison's son, Marvin Harrison Jr., who went to the Arizona Cardinals. Bad kid on the field, which is great. Competitor, cool, calm, collected, great personality, no ego. His dad is obviously Marvin Harrison Sr. You look at Rome Odunze. Now, this is something I never really captured until now with Rome Odunze, who's now on the Chicago Bears, is that his leadership really stands out. Now, we knew about the versatility. He goes out inside, he goes outside, he does whatever, but his leadership really, really sticks out. They went to Malik Neighbors, who is a New York Giant, and they said he loves football, the passion, the chip on the shoulder, big personality. You'll hear about that if he does not get the football in his hands earlier in the game. So the way they did it with quarterbacks when they were interviewing them, I would say the most intense was probably Jaden Daniels and Drake May. Doesn't mean they liked them at that rate, but I think they liked Drake May the most, my personal opinion, because a lot of people were saying that in the beat. And also, you could see a little bit of it in the Hard Knocks episode, because May probably aced the interviews out of everybody there. In terms of the quarterbacks, of every quarterback, it seems like he aced the interview, because the Giants were throwing, specifically Brian Dable, because he's a quarterback guru, they were throwing hooks left, right, and center. They were telling him, okay, draw up your favorite pass play, and then we're going to name it this, and then we're going to switch the numbers around, we're going to switch the letters around, make the H to Z, X to Y, F to H, this, that, and the third. And then he was interviewing Jaden Daniels, and they probably, again, did this similar for J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, whatever, and they were interviewing Jaden Daniels about, okay, your first 3 games, you're not doing good, what's going to happen? So Jaden Daniels is about to answer. Brian Dable goes, what's that play we taught you earlier? What's that play you drew up for us earlier? And he had one letter mixed up, but Brian Dable's like, it's all right. But a couple other things to mark off before the end of this video. It's confirmed that New England wanted, let me rephrase that. It is confirmed that the New York Giants wanted to move up to 3. We saw that. He walked over, meaning Joe Shane, he walked over to the side of the stadium in Indianapolis to where Elliott Wolf and the executives for the New England Patriots are. He goes, listen, whether you're going to trade the pick, whether you're going to do this, that, and the third, I don't know what your plan is. I don't want to know. But, in terms of who they're drafting at 3, but if you're going to move, give us a call. Give us the decency of saying, we're going to move this pick. And then that's when they started. That's regularly, I should say, when you start to say, okay, I want this, I want that. Give me this, and I'll give you that for that. Whatever goes into trading up. But obviously that never happened because the New England Patriots stuck at 3 with Drake May, and the New York Giants stuck at 6 with Malik Neighbors. So that's that. Malik Neighbors, they were talking to him. Harness the lack of reps is what Brian Dable told him. And I'm pretty sure he's going to hear that throughout training camp and this, that, and the third. But he said, we love that you want to fucking win. We love that you're competitive, this, that, and the third. But you're going to have to harness the fact and just ease down on, for lack of a better word, and I'm just quoting and paraphrasing, the fact that you may not be getting a certain amount of reps within the game or within the first few weeks. Because it's all dependent on the game plan and this, that, and the third, and it all changes. Again, Romeo Odunze, huge leader, versatile. Harrison Jr., I really liked his personality. I will say that, right? I watched Harrison Jr. in Ohio State. Now, it's not my favorite team, but nonetheless, obviously the best wide receiver in the draft. And he's, again, just like what the scouts were saying about him. He's, does he have a personality? Is he mean on the football field? He's mean on the football field, but he's a nice guy. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. Mike Groh was putting on the film from Ohio State. The quarterback was Kyle McCord, who's not very good, let's be completely honest with you guys. But he makes a pretty crappy throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. And Mike Groh says, okay, what do you do in that situation? What are you going to tell the quarterback? He goes, well, I don't tell the quarterback anything. And Mike Groh and the rest of the Giants staff, it's a pretty good test, were trying to bait him into saying something bad. And Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't bite. So if he was there at 6, I bet you the New York Giants would have taken him. But that's pretty much that for this episode 2 Hard Knocks recap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. More roster bubble videos coming out for you guys. Hoping to get some stuff in the next couple of weeks regarding the Yankees. The All-Star break is coming up. And, of course, training camp is I want to say they report to camp on the 16th to 17th. That's the rookies. And then the 23rd is when the vets come in. So as of this recording, we're 13 days away. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.